Hello. Hello, hello. I'm hungry. Yum. Mm. I'm going to have dinner with you guys. I haven't eaten yet, so one of my residents bought me a burger. Well, isn't that nice? Mmm. What's that? I like it. Do I want to do a... No, I don't want to do a members only stream. Mm. It's kind of cold now, but that's okay. Yum. Oh my goodness. Is there cheese on here? Look at a big burger. Yum. Mm-mm-mm. Hi, guys. Thank you. Mm. Mm-hmm. Got burger and fries. People are so good to me here, you guys. They're always cooking for me or, like sharing their meals with me. It's very sweet people. Mm. Mm. And a lot of them say, if you leave, we're moving. I feel very loved here. But my mother taught me not to talk with my mouth full. Mm. Aw. Thank you, City of Peace. That's very sweet. Hey, Big D. How are you? The other day, you guys think I can eat the whole thing? It's pretty big. I'm doing okay. I don't have Sosa tonight. He's coming tomorrow. The other day, so someone brought me lunch. It was home cooked food. And then someone else brought me dinner that was home cooked to my office. I'm like, that's really good. One lady, she brought roast with mashed potatoes and this stuff that looks and tastes just like broccoli, but it's called something else. It was really good. And then the other gal had brought, oh, that was a different time. Okay, the other night, someone brought me pchicken and those pasta things from Costco. I can't remember what they're called, but they were squash pasta. But the other day, what was it? It was roast. I can't remember the other meal. What the other meal was? Mm. Mm. Well, I don't know if you can see, but I think the way this camera looks is very dull. The house, my place is pretty bright. I've got those curtains are gray, and over here it's pretty bright. Those curtains are a dark gray, and usually I leave them open and I just close the blinds. But tonight I'm just feeling a little weird, so I wanted to close them. When I'm done stuffing my face, I'm going to share a few videos with you guys. Wait. We can still do that, right? Hold on. Yeah, okay. Because things that are happening in Seattle are crazy. So our mayor colors gold, beige, brown, and green are good colors for the house. I have beige and like some turquoise. I don't know. I have different colors. Yeah, Donna, it's absolutely terrible. Yep, tomato, pickle, onion, lettuce. So our mayor is offering other places, states, to take our homeless and we will pay them. They're raising our taxes 9.5 billion or something like that. More tax raising. We, I believe, are the third highest tax paying state in the nation. I can't eat this. But what they don't realize is what they're doing is not working. All this free shit is not working. Oh, thank you, Donna. Hey, Stefan. Well, thank you for rejoining, honey. Did you know? I'm sure you probably don't, but 70% of the homeless in Seattle are not from here. They are people coming to Seattle because of all the free shit they get, because of all the programs they have. When people's rent is running for a one bedroom over $2,000, and what's the money going to? That's why I'm gonna play you guys videos. Hold on. Hold on. Let me find it real quick. I'm stuffed. I cannot eat these fries. Hold on. Playlist. There we go. Where'd it go? Okay. There's one. Okay. This is the one. Okay. Let me share. Okay. Tell me, you guys, let me know if you can hear this, okay? Once I play it. I hope I'll mute myself because I think if I'm not muted, it'll be like an echo. So I'll mute myself. Okay, can you guys see it? There you go. Okay, let me go back.
are coming to Washington State. What is going on, Anton, in the world of real estate and our evergreen state here?
Washington State, we got a problem. And this isn't a problem like, oh, we have a lack of money or a lack of tax revenue coming in. It's over. To 12.5 billion in addition. Well, why is that? They're looking for a.
Wait, the audio was gone? So if I mute myself, it used to play. Now it's not? Shit. So you can't hear anything they were saying? Shit. Well, I'm afraid it's going to echo, you guys.
The big tech companies. Same song, different year. But here's the facts. This is simply political theater. Since 2021, the state has jammed through more tax packages, bringing in between 9.5 to 12.5 billion in additional revenue. That was just the last one. And some sources are estimating that this cost the average Washingtonian $2,000 per year per the average family of four, just in these taxes.
Wow.
Is it echoing?
These taxes are already huge, and they're still broke. Well, why is that? They're looking for a cash grab because they have a projected budget shortfall of 6.6 billion to as many as 16 billion over the next few years. This is basically a structural failure because they're bringing in enough revenue, but the state, because it's not hitting their full projections, is simply overspending on revenue that's not showing up. Thank you for being on this journey with us. We're going to push back and fight against Washington State and freaking more taxes. Hit that like button. And we want to go through this today and kind of talk about, like, this isn't the worst part. They're already debating about a wealth tax. They're debating about a high income earner payroll tax. And this is creating instability in Washington State. So I think Washington State is kind of attacking itself from all sides. And we're going to talk about how this instability is going to create opportunity, though, as usual, for your portfolio, for your business, for real estate. And the core issue, oh my goodness, it's not low revenue. Our economy is doing very well. So our economy is doing great, but the issue is how much they're spending. So guess how much? Don't look at the notes.
Okay.
How much do you think that they are overspending by? Like what
Listen
percent?
to this, you guys.
35%.
Oh no, that's game over. That's end of the world.
Okay.
So 35% overspending in relation to the government would be beyond catastrophic.
Yeah.
Close
That's like if I made $100,000 a year and spent 35,000 over every single year for whatever. Okay, I don't know. If that's the case, I'm gonna say like 5 to 7%.
8. The omnibus operating budget for 25 to 2027 increased spending by more than 8%, and they are spending faster than they can even possibly tax us. This is basically an attack against the investor, an attack against small business, the middle class. These all become the casualties in this. And the bad news is these poorly designed taxes are basically guaranteed to cause more issues, cause panic, cause businesses to leave Washington, hurt the middle class, and then drive out maybe some of our major tech companies.
What?
Okay. I'm going to put you on hold for a second. What they want to do is make it so small businesses can't function, so they have to close down. They want us fully 100% dependent on big corporations. That's it. They've been working. This has been a plan for a long time. But on another video, I have something to show you about Obama. He was a nightmare from the get-go. But interesting stuff coming out about him and other people. But this kind of stuff, these people get away with it. Like, think about that. We don't get a choice where our tax money goes. It's ridiculous. Like, how are we supposed to keep going? It doesn't make sense. Sorry, I just cannot deal with stuff in my teeth. I cannot. I think Shani got some false bottom teeth put in. Shani. All right. Okay. That's okay. That's better. All right. Okay, kids. Hold on. I'm coming. Hold on. I know. I have to be presentable, guys, okay? I have to be presentable. I have to put away my laundry too, damn it. I do. Sorry. You'll be sorry. Okay, sorry guys. Okay, I'm back. I'm back, Jack. Hold on.
What's your justification for doing this taxation right now? Like, why would they create so many taxes here in Washington and hurt our economy?
I don't know that there's a specific justification. I actually think it's a mindset. I think it's political theory. I think it's people who don't own businesses. They've been career politicians. And the idea is kind of simple. They look around, and when you're a hammer, everything is a nail. And so they're looking around saying, we want to keep spending. So therefore, where can we go get the taxes from? Well, we can get them from business via the new B&O taxes. We can get it from drivers via gas taxes. We can get it from precious metal holders via gold. We can get it from high income earners. That's one of the ones that they're talking about proposing. So all of this is like, we're not getting enough. So the legislature is already rumoring to start raising taxes in 2026. And what's happening though is tax revenue has massively increased, but spending has greatly outpaced it. All Washington State has to do is very simple. Slow down your spending. So think about it like this. In this current economy, And listeners, someone correct me if I'm wrong. Does everyone feel like really good or they feel slightly pinched?
Definitely pinched, and there's a little pressure on the pocketbook.
Yeah.
If there's pressure on your pocketbook, my pocketbook, our listeners' pocketbook,
how are you, honey?
Why is there not pressure on Washington State's pocketbook?
Oh my gosh, I think we're just too easy on them. Honestly.
Bingo. We're not applying enough pressure, but what's happening is that this pressure cooker, because we've got multiple hidden things that are attacking us, this pressure cooker is boiling up. I mean, all you have to do is go look at some of the comments on some of the videos that we've made recently, and you can see the pressure cooker just boiling over. Where are we getting attacked the most? I think this is really an attack specifically on the middle class and small business. So the first group that's going to end up paying this tax is obviously the middle class. And they're paying it through guaranteed inflation, and that's the hidden tax. See, politicians, they don't call them consumption taxes. They call them corporate surchargers. We're going to go get the big bad tech company. We're going to make sure they pay their fair share. But what's a big company do when they get hit with a bunch of taxes like B&O tax or surcharges or sales taxes?
Well, they probably have to cut some costs, maybe cut some employees.
Bingo.
Maybe tighten up, downsize a little bit, or charge more to their customers.
Those are the only two things that happen. The business makes less money, and the consumer gets charged more.
Yep.
And it's usually some combination of both. So you eat into profits, and then and sometimes in the case of like B&O taxes and service taxes, that'll get passed 100% on to the consumer. So Washington State's like, we need more taxes. And really what they're saying is we're creating hidden inflation taxes against the consumer.
Yep, they are. Hold on. I'm going to find another one I want you guys. There's another video I want you guys to see. Hold on one second. Let me go here. Let me go here. It's absolutely horrific, you guys, what's going on. Absolutely. Okay, playlist. There we go. Train wreck. I have it under train wrecks because it is a train wreck to me. Okay. Let me go down here. There was like 3 videos I wanted you guys to see. That one, and that one. Okay, it's this one. Is this the one? Hold on. Is this the guy? Yes. Okay. Okay, hold on. Okay. Let me go to you guys. Let me share the screen. Hold on. Okay. This is a good one. Okay.
Also, terrorist organizations and foreign leaders are calling for members of the Trump team to be taken out. The cartels are now putting 5-figure bounties on the heads of ICE agents and ICE leaders. To help me go through this and more, I have Alex Newman. Alex, thank you for joining me again.
Honor and a pleasure. Thank you very much for having me, Stephen.
So, Alex is an independent journalist. He's the author of The Deep State. He knows better than anybody just how nefarious things can be in the government, how the government uses these shadow governments to try to control the American people. Right now, you've got most Democrats. They go on the news and they demonize ICE agents, Department of Homeland Security agents. They demonize MAGA voters, our president. Now you have cartel leaders calling for the killing of agents and the kidnapping of some of Trump's top law enforcement agents. Let me go ahead and roll this clip with you, and then I want to talk about it because this is scary stuff, what the cartels are doing.
$5 to $10 grand for kidnapping of ICE agents or Customs and Border Patrol agents, non-lethal assault, $50,000 for the assassination of high-ranking officials. Whew. Here's Greg Bavino. He works in Chicago. Says he had a bounty on his head. Watch.
We've got $50,000 bounties on the heads of federal law enforcement officers. We have criminals ramming vehicles, criminals bringing guns to protests. This is not regular street crime here in Chicago. We have assaults on Border Patrol agents, ICE officers, and our allied law enforcement agencies every day, often multiple times per day. And again, these assaults, the lethality of these assaults is increasing.
How can your officers respond to that effectively?
Well, there's power in numbers, there's safety in numbers. Our ICE facilities, President Trump has called in the National Guard a very prescient and great strong leadership we've seen from the President of the United States. But I mean, we are seeing a coordinated, highly organized waging of war on our law enforcement on the streets of Chicago. These men and women are simply enforcing the rule of law and doing their job, and yet there's these foreign terrorist networks who are going after them. They're using a tiered system of bounties to go after them, whether it be doxing their family members, kidnapping, even murdering these brave men and women.
All right, Alex, your thoughts on this? This is scary stuff.
It absolutely is. And we warned for years before this started happening that this was going to happen. And we do have foreign terrorist organizations. We do have operatives from foreign governments in our country. We also need to look back at previous administrations, the Biden administration and the Obama administration, in multiple ways, not just cooperated with some of these drug cartels and drug kingpins, but actually helped feed the monster. Some of this came out a little bit during the Obama administration. We found out about Operation Fast and Furious, where the federal government was caught trafficking high-powered American weapons to drug cartels. When they were demonizing American gun owners in the Second Amendment as a result of the violence that they were fueling, until they got caught. And then they said, oh, we were investigating some guy. Turned out the guy they were allegedly investigating was already on the FBI payroll. We've had multiple whistleblowers come out saying that multiple federal agencies under the Obama administration and even under the Biden administration were cooperating with the cartels, were giving them intelligence. This is absolutely horrific. And now what we're seeing is basically an alliance between the radical violent left, hostile foreign governments, and criminal organizations like the drug cartels, all united against the United States of America and efforts to enforce the rule of law.
Right, Robert?
It's a very dangerous situation, and there's a lot more going on behind the scenes than most of the media is willing to admit.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, just from some of the B-roll footage that I saw there,
They're going to be
you've got people throwing rocks through ICE agents' windows, attacking them, throwing smoke bombs, throwing giant construction barrels into the road.
Yep.
I'm worried we're going to see agents killed in the line of duty, and then there'll be no choice but to send in the National Guard. I mean, they said right there, this is organized and coordinated attack against government employees that are just doing their jobs.
That's right. And I should remind people, just doing their jobs means enforcing the laws that the American people, acting through their elected representatives, have enacted. And you don't have to go back that far to find a lot of Democrats talking about the importance of border security, the importance of deporting illegal immigrants, especially illegal criminals. I mean, Bill Clinton, it was a big part of his campaign when he was president. Got to secure the border. You even have Chuck Schumer some years ago on camera talking about the importance of these issues. So we now have a Democrat Party that has completely lost touch, not just with the American voter, but even with reality, and has joined in this anti-American alliance. We need to remember, too, what ICE represents. One of the defining characteristics of a nation is a defined and enforceable border. These attacks on ICE are more than just attacks on individual law enforcement officers who are sworn to uphold the Constitution and the laws of the United States. They're an attack on a critical component of what it means to be a nation, our borders. It's calculated, it's deliberate, and it's incredibly dangerous.
Well, and what they're doing has to be done. Like, look at El Salvador, for example. President Bukele, he gets in there. The first thing that they do is they do this coordinated hit where they round up 50,000 gang members in a single weekend. Now they're in these mega prisons that if you Google, you can see their tattoos all over their face. I mean, their bodies are just covered in tattoos. And then you look at what's going on in Chicago, over 100,000 gang members in Chicago. Who runs Chicago? Is it the government or is it the criminal cartels? Is it the gangs? From what I'm seeing right here, it looks like this is organized crime. And yet you go to TikTok or Facebook and you see people on there saying, we need help. the National Guard, they've come into Memphis. Now my children can play outside. I can go for a walk in Washington, D.C. So as scary as this is, it does seem like Trump is making the right decision as the president of the entire country to try to clean it up and make America safe again.
Yeah, there's no question about it, Stephen. And we need to understand here that uncontrolled crime is actually a tactic of the totalitarians. And people struggle to believe that. Back during the 60s and into the 70s, we saw rogue judges releasing huge numbers of criminals out onto our street. Violent criminals, murderers, rapists, child predators. They're doing this deliberately. And what we're seeing in Chicago is actually part of something much bigger. We're seeing the blurring of the lines between government and organized crime. And that's incredibly dangerous, not just for the residents of Chicago, but for the entire country. We're seeing it in major cities across the United States ruled by radical, unaccountable Democrats. And again, the line dividing the Democrat Party and now the communists and the socialists is increasingly blurry if it's there at all.
Right.
And all of this is part of something much, much bigger.
He's a big one.
They want citizens in terror. They want citizens crying out for solutions to help bring in the agenda that they have. They want to dismantle our borders. They want to destroy the United States of America as we have known it. And once you understand that, once you see everything that's happening through that lens, suddenly it all starts to make sense. Democrats don't just like crime for the sake of crime. I mean, they have children too. This is a tactic that they're using to try to break down the United States of America and the Constitution that protects our liberties.
Okay. Let me show one more clip about what's happening in Chicago and with the cartels and the gangs.
It's incredibly disturbing, Sandra. Homeland Security investigations, the FBI, our interagency intelligence partners are really all over this. And what we're seeing, as you mentioned, is this tiered system, this coordinated and highly organized waging of war against our law enforcement and a terror campaign against them. We're seeing that they're offering $2,000 for intelligence about our ICE law enforcement agents surrounding, including their family, to dox them, $5,000 to kidnap an ICE law enforcement agent, and then even more money to kill them. And we've talked a lot about on this program and on other programs on this network about these ICE apps to locate ICE and CBP agents. And it's not just obstruction of justice that we've been seeing with that. We're also seeing this. They're now handing intelligence over to these cartels, these criminal rings, to go after our law enforcement, harass them, dox them, kidnap them, and God forbid, kill them, Sandra. It's very disturbing.
Yeah, here's part of this.
So, no cartel that makes billions of dollars off of the United States with human trafficking, drug trafficking, arms trafficking was going to go quietly into the night. Is this now the cartel?
Hold on. So Big D says, we had a live stream meeting exposed here, union leaders talking about working. So wait, Big D, are you saying that people that worked with you in your regular job were working with Antifa as well? Is that, I just want to know if I'm hearing you right or reading you right. We had a live stream meeting exposed here, union leaders talking about working with Antifa. Most protesters, Lexi, that's so true. Most protesters are being paid. Yep. I have personally faced off Soros protesters and Antifa in DC. Mm-hmm. Robert, there was a protest I went to. It was in Seattle somewhere. And I remember Antifa was there. And I even got pictures of what they had. They had 2x4s with nails in them. I remember they were throwing all kinds of stuff at people. Bags with piss in it. It was crazy. Heads of unions had a meeting talking about working with Antifa. That meeting got exposed live on the... Oh, okay. I gotcha. Well, yeah. I hope all the shit gets exposed.
Fighting back against Trump's policies of closing the border?
in a very real way. But there's even more to this picture, Stephen. And the U.S. government at the highest levels knows all about this. I know that for a fact. The cartels in Mexico and in Latin America are not just criminal organizations. They're actually connected to
You guys, things we've known for years. Listen to what he says about the president of Venezuela. This is crazy. And this is so much more common than anyone even freaking
broader political movement. Some of these are just in it for the money. They want to make a lot of money and buy fancy cars. But there's a network across Latin America called the Foro de Sao Paulo. It was founded in Sao Paulo by Luis Inácio Lula da Silva, the Marxist wannabe president of Brazil, Fidel Castro, the dictator of Cuba, the Sandinistas in Nicaragua, and also the FARC, the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. It's a Marxist terrorist organization that specializes in trafficking cocaine for the purpose of financing the revolution. And so you take Mexico as a really good example. It is very difficult to tell where the cartels end and the government begins. There is very close synergy there. And I grew up in Mexico. I spent more years living in Mexico than any other place in the world. And everybody kind of knows this. And even the people who go into government, not necessarily intending to become part of the criminal operation, the broader communist network across Latin America, they're really given two options. The way they say it in Mexico is plomo or plata. Plomo, you can have lead. In other words, we'll kill you, we'll kidnap you, we might even behead you and leave your body hanging from a bridge. Or plata, silver, we'll give you money. And when you're a mayor, when you're a police chief, when you're a senator, when you're a judge, and they say, look, we're either going to murder you and your family, or you're going to take this $100,000 and shut your mouth. For a lot of them, that's an easy decision to make. So the U.S. government knows a lot about this. Unfortunately, for multiple administrations in the past, they've not only have they done nothing, they've turned the other way. They've looked away deliberately. They've allowed this to fester. In some cases, they've facilitated this. Now Trump comes along and says, no, we're going to enforce our laws. We're not going to tolerate this. And you see all hell breaking loose. Again, I want to emphasize to people, this is very dangerous. It's much bigger than just a story about crime or anything like that. This is a hugely significant attack on everything that we hold dear in the United States.
Yeah, this is like the game of Risk, like playing out in real life, where you've got multiple nations, trying to vie for control, and these networks that create hundreds of billions, if not trillions of dollars in revenue. And a lot of that comes from being a parasite on the United States economy. Let me get your thoughts on this. President Trump and the White House are shutting down the flow of money to evil through closing USAID, government agencies, cutting off the flow of money to NGOs, deeming Antifa a domestic and international terrorist group. Now he's ordered the FBI and the Treasury to follow the money. What are your thoughts on this, and who do you think we are going to find at the end of that money trail?
Yeah, I was very pleased to see our mutual friend Seamus Brunner on your program. Of course, he was just at the White House talking to President Trump about this. The reality is there are very large funders of these networks. They are very wealthy individuals. Now, yes, a lot of the funding was coming from the taxpayer. These people figured out how to manipulate the U.S. government into funding a revolution to overthrow the U.S. government. It sounds too crazy to be true, but it absolutely can be documented. The Donald Trump administration is right now untangling all of this, and I'm grateful that they're cutting off the funds. But there's a lot of money going into this. And everybody knows, the obvious ones, the George Soroses of the world, the Roy Singham Neville over in communist China. So there are some big players. Then there are certain smaller players. But this is a truly international movement. Yeah. There are direct connections to the CCP. And this has been true all along. I mean, you go back to, for example, the Weather Underground. People forget all about the Weather Underground. Back in the 1960s, this was a communist terrorist organization in the United States. They bombed the Capitol. They bombed the Pentagon. They bombed the State Department. They murdered police officers and then bombed their funerals. They were working directly with communist Cuban intelligence, with the DGI. And our government knew this. And of course, for those who aren't familiar with Weather Underground, they surfaced again. A lot of the leaders from this terrorist organization went into academia. They became professors of education. And then one of the founders of the Weather Underground, Bill Ayers, helped Barack Hussein Obama launch his political career to take over eventually the presidency of the United States. Now, the FBI operative who infiltrated the leadership of this terrorist organization, and a lot of these that we see today are direct descendants of the Weather Underground,
Do you know?
He got all the way up to the inner echelon
an
of the leadership of this terrorist organization. And what he found out was, and he did a fascinating interview about this before he died, he said their plan was to invite hostile foreign governments into the United States after they kicked off a communist revolution here. They were going to allow the Russians to occupy part, North Koreans, Cubans, communist Chinese. They would divide up the United States. And he said then they were going to create a network of re-education camps to put counter-revolutionary Americans in. And they estimated that they would have to liquidate, in other words, murder, exterminate 10% of the American population that could not be brought about to the new way of thinking in America. So anybody who thinks that these are just crazy, goofy college kids that just got a little bit too brainwashed and carried away, there are plenty of those useful idiots. But behind the scenes, there's a highly organized, very well-funded network with multiple connections to hostile foreign powers that does aim to create a revolution in this country, a civil war in this country, for the purpose of destroying the last major obstacle to a global takeover on behalf of this ideology from hell.
Wow. Did you know a dangerous amount of microplastics are now being found in our water, food, bloodstream, even our brains? At 888 back in office, they had an aged man with dementia that they could treat as a puppet. All they had to do was keep him away from interviews and the media, and they could do whatever they want. And look how much damage they did in 4 years. While Trump has been trying to shut down evil and the flow of money to evil, Democrats have been keeping the United States government shut. I want to show you what House Speaker Mike Johnson had to say about that and reopening the government.
That we just won't go along with. We won't sell out the long-term security and future of the United States so that Chuck Schumer can prevent a primary challenge from his left wing. We will not be a part of that nonsense. And until Schumer and the left wing of his party are satisfied enough that the pain this shutdown has caused has reached a limit that they're satisfied with, then the Republicans are going to stand here every single day, and we're going to continue to deliver the simple facts directly to the American people.
So they're saying we're not going to back down. We don't understand why they want to inflict pain on the economy, government, the citizens of this great nation. Your thoughts on this whole government shutdown and their attempt to squeeze money out of the American taxpayer?
Yeah, the American voters went to the polls and voted overwhelmingly for Republican President Donald Trump. They gave the House to the Republican Party. They gave the Senate to the Republican Party. That's because they were sick of the Democrats' spending. They were sick of the Democrats' priorities. Now what we have the Democrats doing, the Democrat leadership is trying to force Republicans into passing another Democrat spending bill. It's an outrage. It's totally unacceptable. And I'm glad that Republicans are standing firm. I wouldn't hold my breath waiting for them to continue standing firm because they have a long track record of caving when the going gets tough. And we all know the fake media is going to try to blame them. But we need to encourage them to stand firm. Yes, there is some pain. They're talking now about air traffic control. They're going to try to inflict pain on us to try to make this a victory for the left. But we do need Republicans to stand firm. In fact, I would say they ought to be going for much larger cuts. And on the bright side of all this, Stephen, we see the Trump administration now working to lay off large amounts of federal workers that should have been laid off many, many years ago or never been hired in the first place. So hopefully we'll get some good out of this. But the Democrats, I think, are just showing the country what is wrong with the Democrat Party today.
I agree. Let me show you one more clip that the Republicans started digging in, okay, what are their actual demands? We know they want, $200 million or $200 billion for illegals to have health care. They're worried, all these people have become dependent on the government subsidizing emergency rooms. We're going to lose voters and money. But listen to what else they have the pork that they have tried to sneak in on the taxpayer.
And they would send $500 million to liberal news outlets by refunding the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. It would also restore up to $5 billion of American taxpayer funds for wasteful spending for international projects. Here's a couple of examples. This is in their legislation, their counterproposal on the CR to keep the lights open. This is what they want to do. They want to spend $24.6 million of your hard-earned dollars as a taxpayer for climate resilience in Honduras. They want to spend $13.4 million for civic engagement in Zimbabwe. They want to send $3.9 million for LGBTQI+ democracy grants in the Western Balkans. They want to spend $2.9 million of your dollars for desert locust risk reduction in the Horn of Africa, and $2 million for, quote, organizing for feminist democratic principles in Africa. We are not doing that.
All right, let me just, this is crazy to me. Why on earth should my tax money go towards climate resilience in Honduras, civic engagement in Zimbabwe, LGBTQI democracy grants in the Balkans, 2.9 million for locust reduction in Africa, and 2 million to feminist Democrat principles in Africa? Why is my money going? Why is our money going to that? It makes that, these are the demands to reopen the government. They're saying, oh, people are going to die in airplanes because of Republicans. No, it's because you want money for Africa. Oh, women and children aren't going to get WIC. No, it's because you want gay stuff to happen in the Balkans. Oh, our government's going to fall apart. The border's not going to be safe. No, you're trying to do crazy stuff in Zimbabwe. Sorry, I'm getting crazy over here, but like your thoughts on the wasteful use of our money.
Yeah, I would argue that it's even worse than wasteful, Stephen. It goes back to what we were talking about earlier. A lot of these so-called grant programs are just very poor cover for funding these radical organizations, these radical movements. I've spent a lot of time in Africa. I used to live in Africa. I've spent a lot of time in Europe. I used to live in Europe. I spent a lot of time in Latin America. I used to live in Latin America. I grew up down there. Everywhere these U.S. government grants go, they go to subversive organizations. They go to kleptocrats. It'd be bad enough if they were just funding LGBT, whatever in some foreign country. They're actually going to radical organizations, some of them bankrolled by the same people, the Soroses of the world, that are trying to overthrow our own system. And this is absolutely despicable. And Johnson talks about our money. Yes, it is, but really it's our children and our grandchildren. They're borrowing this money from foreign governments to give it to foreigners. It is a total outrage. And I think if your average Democrat knew that this is the kind of thing that these people were trying to spend your money on, even they would say, okay, enough is enough.
Yeah. Well, the Democrat Party right now has no leadership. They are wildly unpopular. They say Republicans are trying to rig the election by redistricting, something that Democrats have done for over 20 years now. But CNN says they're running out of options and things are not looking good. Let me go ahead and play this.
2018, right? Because that's sort of the baseline. That was, of course, the first Trump term. That was where Democrats were sort of keeping pace. You go back to April, look at the generic congressional ballot.
Okay, hold on. So, Big D, I just said, imagine your country's so small you can't say anything about what really happened. The middle class is being drained. I know, Lexi, that's so true. So, Donald Trump's connection to Alberta Oil primarily concerns his support for the proposed Keystone XL pipeline during his presidency, which would have transported oil from Alberta's oil sands to the U.S. Gulf Coast. There is no company called Convoy Oil, so this is most likely what you are referring to. Trump's actions related to the Keystone pipeline. Revival in his first term. After the project was rejected by the Obama administration, Trump revived the Keystone XL project in 2017, issuing a presidential permit to allow construction to move forward. Rejection by Biden. The project was halted again when President Joe Biden revoked the permit on his first day in office in 2021. Renewed interests in 2025. In February 2025, Trump voiced support for rebuilding the pipeline, indicating that he would offer swift approval if the company was willing to proceed. More recently, in October of 2025, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and Trump discussed the possibility of reviving the Keystone XL project as part of broader trade negotiations. The former developer, TC Energy, had already spun off its oil pipeline business into a new company named South Bow, which has stated it has moved on from the project. Tariffs, threats. Tariffs, blah, 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 Alberto's response, blah, blah, blah. Trump and Carney discussed the Keystone pipeline. Keystone Pipeline facts and myths. Okay, what are you guys saying? The plans have been in the works a long time. Mexico, Canada, America, one country. What are all the people going to go through to make that happen? PSYOPs programming. The Keystone Pipeline is an operational system that transports Canadian crude oil to the U.S., but it is often confused with the canceled Keystone XL project, which became the focus of a politicized debate. The original pipeline system continues to operate, while the highly controversial XL extension was officially abandoned by its developer, TC Energy, in 2021. I don't know, guys. I think we might lose power tonight. I don't know. It's pretty.
What you see? You see +3 Democrats in 2025 in April. You see +3 Democrats back in April of 2017. Now jump over to this side of the screen. What happens? Well, the Democrats are no longer keeping pace with the pace that they were setting back in 2017, 2018. You look back in 2017, you saw that the Democrats had leaped up to an 8-point advantage. I remember covering this. I remember a lot of folks, including myself, saying, you know what, Republicans look pretty decent right now in terms of the fact that they had the House, they had the Senate, they had the presidency, but things were likely going to flip. And I was looking for the same signs this year. The bottom line is it hasn't happened, Kate Baldwin. It hasn't happened. Democrats have stayed basically steady. They have fallen off the pace. Democrats were way out ahead back in 2017 on the generic congressional ballot. And now we're basically looking at Democrats ahead. But again, they are so far in back of the pace that they set back there. And so I think what a lot of folks are seeing, folks like myself, are saying, wait a minute, given what we might be seeing in redistricting, is this +3 going to be enough, Kate Baldwin?
Well, that's what I was going to ask. One change from that cycle is also this mid-decade redistricting effort that we've been covering so much. You add that in, and what do you get?
Okay, so we add that, and we take a look at the national picture.
Real quick. Okay. Listen. Can I make this go bigger? No. On another note, you know, dang it. Okay, I want to make my bigger. The whole screen. You used to be able to. I don't know what happened. Anyways. So, oh, I can edit it. Sorry. So I went to the store today, right? Just wanted to pick up a few things. And then I went to another store and I went to another store. But it was the first store. I don't know what I thought I was going to spend. I know I needed to pick up Snickers ice cream bars, a few Red Bull, my coffee. I bought these. Oh my gosh. They're frozen, but they're these little mac and cheese, and it's by Beechers, I think. I don't know. It's the best mac and cheese ever. Those were on sale. And, oh, I bought some mouthwash. I bought a thing of gum. I bought a little trial size of lotion for my purse. And a toothbrush. And it was $90 for coffee, ice cream bars, 4 Red Bull, some mac and cheese, and a few little odds and ends. $90. Crazy. Oh, thank you. Yes, thumbs up, guys. And then I went over to the grocery outlet. And usually I never buy bags from there, but I'm like, okay, I'll take a bag this time. So she rings up the bag 15 cents, right? And I'm watching the thing. And then it was 8 cents. And I'm like, what's the 8 cents? I said, seriously? There's tax on this bag? The tax on the 15 cents was 8 cents. That's over half of what the bag was. What? That's state tax. This is going to be absolutely a nightmare living here. Now that these taxes are going up and up and up, I cannot understand why citizens don't want to reduce crime in the big cities. I don't either. Crime is a cash cow. More police on the job, more prosecutors, more lawyers, more judges. The system grows. I do agree with that. They need to have their crime, they need to have people doing crime to make money, right? But, and I don't know. It's crazy how there's so much crime all of a sudden, and it's everywhere. Almost like these people are installed in these specific areas to cause this chaos. And what can we do about it? That's the thing that sucks, you guys, is what can we do about it? Going to the polls doesn't do shit, right? We have to just sit here and watch it play out. And eventually, the inevitable. But so what I'm concentrating on is my relationship with my Father in heaven. I'm concentrating on that. I'm concentrating on family. I'm concentrating on my job. And Sosa is included in my family. So I love him to death, and he gets a lot of my time, that's for sure. But that's what I'm concentrating on. My mother is still in the rehab place. Still don't know what they're going to do about the mass. My brother says they're just trying to get her strong enough so she can go home. So there's no plan as of yet. And I'm wondering if they're just going to leave it and let her live her life however long she's going to make it with this 5-inch mass on her. People are busy. They don't have time for research, and that's why the people are losing. That's right. A lot of people don't have time. Big D, I don't know everything. I don't know a lot about a lot of things. I do know some about some things. And even the little amount that I know, some people know nothing at all. And it's like, can you imagine not knowing anything about what's going on? I'm just going to cash out and find a small place in the woods. Lexi, let's go, girl. You want to go? Can I go? Me too. I can't cash out though, because I've just started my career a year and a half ago. Think about that. I'm going to have to work a very long time. It shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be this way. The news designed to show you what it wants to show you. Yep. Show you to make you angry. Researching helps you figure out the truth. That's right. That was the trick. Tariffs are taxes on the people. I don't believe that, though. I don't believe the tariffs are the taxes on us. I have to disagree with you on that. Tariffs, I believe, and you have your opinion, and I respect that, Big D, but I believe that the tariffs are, sure, there's going to be growing pains for a while at first, because look, you have to start somewhere. Trump had to start somewhere. How is he going to reduce our deficit? What is it? 37 trillion now or something like that. So I don't know. I feel that the tariffs, it's about damn time people are paying. Start a compound. Yeah. If you're not experienced and you run off into the woods, those people aren't going to make it. That's the reality. Yeah, you need to have you need to be able to handle a weapon. You need to make sure you can eat. I mean, yeah, Lexi, we would need, I don't know. What, do you think we'd make it? I don't know.
Sure, but then we're, of course, taking a look at the state legislators, right? They are potentially changing things, and there are two things that are going on here. First off, net mid-decade redistricting gains. If both sides max out at this point, there are more Republican gains possible than Democratic gains. Yes, the Democrats might try to counter a Texas and a California, but you go along in the different states, and basically Democrats run out of room where Republicans are able to gain and gain and gain. If both sides max out, we're probably looking at a GOP gain of +7 House seats. That doesn't even take into account the potential gutting of the VRA that is right now going to be in front of the Supreme Court. If you add that in, you could be looking. The Voting
Rights Act.
What? Yes, exactly right. The Voting Rights Act. If you add that in, then you could be looking about adding 10, 12, 15, 17 on top of this 7 seats. So I think a lot of folks like myself are looking at this. We're seeing, hey, wait a minute. Those national polls are Democrats are not gaining the way that we expected.
All of their cheating from the past has maxed out. The momentum is with the GOP. And if they want to do this redistricting battle, we're going to win, on top of the fact that we could likely win because of Trump still being in office. People saying, I don't want my 2024 vote to be wasted. I am going to the polls. They're saying that it could be a 15 to 20% increase, with definitely keeping the Senate, but making gains in the House for the second half of Trump's 4 years. Your thoughts on that?
And this is in the face of massive headwinds, including the cheating, including the very, very corrupt census. The last time I talked to Tom Homan, the border czar, he actually said one of the main reasons that he thought the Democrats had opened wide the border was so that all these illegals would go to sanctuary states, sanctuary cities, so that they could get more representation in the House of Representatives. Trump is now working on bringing together a new census so that we can stop counting illegals for representation in Congress. The Democrats are facing a very bleak picture. Republicans have a historic opportunity here, not just to regain and stay in power, but to get a larger margin that they can use to really make some very significant changes. Whether they'll do it or not remains to be seen. Republicans have a long track record of wasting incredible opportunities. We saw it when Trump came to power the first time. They had everything they needed, and they frittered a lot of it away. So let's hope for the best. The Republicans have the wind in their sails right now, and that's good. The Democrats have made a giant mess here for themselves, but that doesn't mean by any means that we're guaranteed significant victories here if Americans don't keep the pressure on.
Yeah. Well, they've got the momentum, so let's hope that they keep that. They continue to do good policy. Trump's got to make some gains on the economy. He's crushed the border situation. A lot of Americans are grateful on that. He also wants to do this big national convention. He's got over $1 billion.
A lot of, and they don't even offer this stuff in school anymore, and they should be teaching kids how to balance a checkbook. They should be teaching kids how to do all this stuff, how to, budget. But no, why would they? Why would they? They don't want people to be successful. But I agree with that. They should know how to change oil in a car, change a tire. I just remember school when I was a kid. And we had home economics, typing, there was shop, there was, all kinds of cool things that in case you wanted to be domesticated, you weren't just being set up to be able to just have a career, if mom wanted to stay home or whatever, because that was a popular thing back then. Now it's frowned upon. Why is that? Why is it frowned upon? People got to think about why these issues have become issues. Why is there such a huge transgender issue when it never used to be? Why is that? I'm not saying there aren't people that really feel that way, but there are a lot of kids that never felt that way, but it's being pushed so much in schools that they feel like if they're not that way, something's wrong with them. And almost like if you're in a heterosexual relationship, something's wrong with you. If you want to get married and have a family, something's wrong with you. There's an attack on the nuclear family, and there has been for quite some time. I started fishing at 5 in the 50s and was driving manual transmission all my life, starting in the 60s. They spent decades, children in schools till their 30s, and no jobs for what they went to school for. Now we have a lack of skilled people. Yeah. I can grow food, don't really like killing deer, can shoot a pew-pew, raise chickens, etc. Nice. My daughter has a pew-pew. They have chickens and they have a garden. And so television programming created new races of people to fight with. The people always have to be fighting, so they don't figure out they're getting stabbed in the back. That is 100%. I agree with that, Big D. There always has to be conflict. They have to keep us divided. Because what happens if we're all united? We're called the United States of America, but we are so divided. What would happen if we all were united? Wait a minute. Then the government would have a huge problem, right? They would have a huge problem if all of us were united. They'd have to be accountable. They wouldn't be able to be ripping us off like they do. They wouldn't be able to get away with the things they are getting away with.
To spend on the upcoming election, the most anyone has ever had going into the midterms. So lots of good stuff. But at the same time, we can't sit back on our laurels and just expect that this is going to happen. Alex, thank you for joining me today. If people want to catch you or get your newsletter, where can I point them?
Thank you so much, Stephen. So my website, libertysentinel.org, the free newsletter is right there. Also, there's daily headlines for free from the New American Magazine. And check out Classical Conversations as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank
you. They want you to pick a side. Both sides are digitally damaged, and this country is in trouble. I'll grow a big garden and learn to produce. That's number. Yes, canning is a good idea. That's very good. Okay, I have one more. Hold on. Hold, please. Let me find it. I'm so tired, you guys. It's crazy. Ugh, I can't with her. Lisa Richard. Ugh, that's old videos. Okay. Let me find, here it is. Okay.
Seattle will send their homeless to your community, and Seattle will pick up the bill. They're going to pay for it. Action. Let's go. Let's see what we got going on here. Here we go. We will pay for it. Seattle mayor wants to broaden the homeless service across county. We need everybody to pitch in and do their fair share, Seattle says. But the big kicker is that Seattle is the reason there are so many damn homeless people.
I said states, so I was wrong. It's across the county. Okay. My bad.
North of Portland. Other cities aren't handing out freebies. They're not handing out booty bump kits. They're not handing out free tents. They're not handing out, the list just goes on and on and on. Everything but the drugs. So other communities in this area, in Puget Sound area, outside of Seattle, they're not getting the mass numbers of homelessness like Seattle is, and Portland and adjoining regions. It's those areas where you have built it and they have come. And now there's too many for Bruce Harrell to deal with. The numbers are staggering. The amount of money it would take to provide housing for each one of the homeless folks that are in Seattle is way beyond what any civic budget could take. So, hey, we're really good at bringing in the homeless. Seattle is. We'll just share that love around. Hey, well, we'll send a handful to your hometown, and we'll pick up the bill, of course, because the Bruce Harrell understands the impact that the homeless have on any one given concentrated area, and it's not good. I'm going to go through a handful of stories that it's a hot potato. The homeless industrial complex, it's a hot potato. We've shut down all the mental institutions. We've shut down all the psychiatric, facilities. And we've got a whole bunch of these crazy lunatics running the streets doing drugs. And mayors are looking around at each other going, what do we do? What do we do? Reading some stuff about Willie Brown back in the day, and he basically said, yeah, we can't really solve this. I thought that was about
there's no money.
As transparent a line from a from a mayor. Willie Brown just taking Kamala Harris to Pound Town, right? I mean, that's all I can ever think about is here's how her career ascended. Willie Brown. Seattle Mayor Bruce Harrell is calling on neighboring cities in King County to help shelter the homeless population. Oh, sign me up. Sign me up. Actually, I've got stories on that. Expressing a willingness to provide funding from Seattle towards shelters and services in other jurisdictions that offer suitable municipal land to host these facilities. We've brought them all in. You provide the land. We provide the funding. Oh, this is a partnership that's going to work. Homeless forever. We've got homeless all day long.
I haven't seen this.
I just recently spent a number of days over in Seattle hanging out in the East Lake area because it's epic there, because they got a massive construction project. There are no homeless people because, when you got things being built, homeless people, we get rid of them. So I come home this morning, Monday morning, driving home, and I get off 520, my major bridge from Seattle to Bellevue. And lo and behold, I'm driving by a dude. I'm pretty close to my house. I'm driving by a dude. And from the back, he looked like he was headless, had his head down, and he was stopped. And I'm like, what is going on here? And he was doing the Fetty fold. He was literally, his head literally just straight over. So he looked like he was headless from the back, and he's just standing there, just whacked out of his mind. I spend all this time over in Seattle, and I got to come back to Bellevue and see that kind of thing. But that kind of thing is because there is a 100-unit old hotel that's a Silver Cloud Inn hotel that's been converted to a homeless, no barrier shelter. Take people right out of the tent, stick them in a hotel. What could go wrong, right? It's the same shenanigans that happen in the hotel are what happened out in the street. And every single time one of these shelters gets built, this is what you get. Put simply, if another city is willing to host needed shelter, we will pay for it, Harrell said in his 2026 budget proposal video last week. Well, you get some real takers for that. Now, how this game is played is the county says, well, we've got these 3 or 4 hotels identified. We're going to go in and buy them. And they go in and buy them. And they don't really tell local leadership, this is what we're doing. And then they just jam it down their throat, because the minute the word gets out that a homeless shelter is coming to or homeless rooms or, complex are coming to your town, everybody just screams, no, we don't want it here. We don't want it here, because everybody knows what that means. Theft from the community. 911 calls will rise. Violence will rise. Use of drugs. People walking around stoned. I've seen multiple examples of that since this facility has come near my home, near my office. It's just up the road here, a couple of miles. And when that happens, and it's no barrier, which means it's this housing first thing, which is a progressive ideology that just simply means if you get them into shelter, they will start to be able to focus on their addiction issues. The problem is they don't.
Thank you.
Some of them probably do, but most don't. And because they don't need to. So now they've got free shelter, free housing, free food, and whatever money they get, they're free to spend on drugs. And that's what they do. So that's why this morning, this one dude is just hunched over. He just had his Monday morning fix on Indigenous Peoples Day of Fetty, and he's standing on a street corner as traffic whizzes by after getting off 520, and he's just all nodded out, just standing there, nodded out.
I'm just thinking.
Perfect. Perfect. Carol's $8.9 billion 2026 budget proposal includes $225 million in funding to respond to homelessness. So the whole homelessness thing has gotten out of control.
$125 million, you guys, to address the homeless crisis. How many years have they been taking that funding? And the homeless crisis has just gotten worse. 70% of the people that are homeless aren't from the area. They're not doing things right. What the actual fuckity fuck? Sorry.
Out of control. It's such a big budget suck, and everybody knows it. And there are no mechanisms in place to exit this cycle.
No.
You just got to keep building more housing. So that's why Bruce Harrell is saying, hey, anybody out there want a few of Seattle's finest homeless coming soon to a neighborhood, your neighborhood? Are you okay with that? Hey, we'll fund it. We'll pay for it. All right. You guys bring us the land. We'll fund it. This is going to be a great partnership. This is going to be the best. And even with Seattle providing over 60% of the region's shelter beds and 85% of the region's tiny homes, we cannot do this alone. Well, you're bringing in, Seattle is the mothership for bringing in homeless population. Portland's the same. San Francisco to the south is the same. Vancouver, BC to the north. These are all hot points for bringing in the homeless because you give them everything but the drugs. And why wouldn't they come to Seattle? Now you're going to want to put them up in Bellevue? Now you want to put them up in Kirkland? You want to put them up in, all these little communities? No. Keep your homeless over there. Keep them in Seattle. The mayor called on King County Regional Housing Authority to identify available land across King County cities with less constraints for future shelter projects. It should go fine. Seattle contributes more than $100 million to King County Regional Housing Authority and is by far its largest municipal funder. And you know what? You know what keeps happening? Homelessness just keeps growing. Just keeps going.
That's right.
10, 15, 20% increases all day long. Discovery Institute, Jonathan Cho, has been a strong opponent to the Housing First approach utilized by Seattle and King County. Housing First prioritizes providing stable housing to people experiencing homelessness as a solution. Well, yeah. Let's take a look and see.
We're protecting them. Will not.
There's that. Yeah, here we go. Here's how Housing First works out. This was what? This was a couple of weeks ago. Fight over spilled alcohol prompts deadly fight between homeless men in Bellevue. I podcasted that. This was a Plymouth Crossing. It's an infamous Bellevue homeless complex built from scratch. And the company that's doing that is opening one up in Redmond. And it's going to be the same thing. You've got just a bunch of on-drug lunatics running around, sometimes fighting each other. And in this case, a homeless dude had his life taken along with $3,000 that he had in his pocket. So, you know what I mean? It's like, all right, you want to bring the homeless to our community, but
Let me point out that
nobody wants to talk about how dangerous they are and how these things don't work.
They don't work. It doesn't work. They've been doing it for years. It doesn't work. They have all this money, but they can't figure out a plan. And these people keep getting voted in. You guys, I made a nail appointment for earlier today, and I didn't go. I'm like, you know what? I'm too tired. I don't want to go. Right, Robert, and they don't want to. If they have to put any effort in, let's say for the most part, excuse me, for the most part, if they have to put any effort in, they don't want to do it. They want everything handed to them. And if they're in Seattle, they're getting it. And our tax dollars keep going up and up and up. I think I'm going to pop off of this video and I'm going to go in my room and I'll probably pop back on. But I want to be comfy and I'm uncomfortable sitting here at this table. And I got to go pee on top of it. On top of that, I have to pee. So if you guys want to come back, we can talk about other things. I had my little fix of political stuff tonight. It's just depressing as all get out. It's so depressing. Oh shit. I still have a comforter in the dryer. Damn it. Want to take the homeless off the street, reopen the mental institutions. Yes. And then they can get fed there and they can shower and they can, get their meds. Perfect. Okay, you guys, I'm going to pop off here. What time is it? Excuse me. It's 9:20 already. It's past my bedtime. I'll pop back on in a few minutes. Okay. Yeah, they can get clean. Yep, that's right. Okay. I'll see you in a bit. Okay, bye.